Welcome to Slowline K. This is the third episode, or I guess third video now, of my K-Van maintenance kind of update. I want to make sure that it is safe to drive and everything is up to par, so when I get on the road, I'm feeling safe, feeling comfortable. If you haven't checked out the first two videos, check those out. This video is going to be about the timing belt, which is kind of the most concerning thing about most of these K-Vans. So we're gonna do timing belt, the water pump, and I think two belts and maybe a couple other things. But let's get into it. So one thing that I've learned is that on these Japanese cars, just kind of like the oil, like oil changes and stuff like that, they have little stickers and labels and how often they should do it. So mine is on the door right here, right there. In Japanese, I translated it, and it says it should be changed every 100,000 miles. And based off of kind of what I see, it was changed at 37,000 kilometers. Sorry, kilometers. I am currently at 150,000 kilometers, so it's well past its 100,000 mile kilometer due. So I don't know what it's going to look like. So let's get into it. So we've got the timing belt here. We've got the timing belt idler and the timing belt tensioner. And we've got the water pump, and then I've got the alternator belt. So I'm not too sure what this is all going to look like once we get in there, but I've got everything here to replace once we get in there. So I've also got, for the timing belt, as I showed you on the door, it's the replacement sticker, also in Japanese, to kind of keep with the theme, so I will update that when I'm done. All right, first we have to jack up the back of the van. All right, we got this support jack in here because we'll need the jack here in a bit. So I'll put two under there. All right, so we are on the passenger side, rear side. So the left rear of the vehicle. And so this should be the only wheel that we need to take off. All right, so we got the wheel off, and these are the covers that we need to get off right here. So I'll knock out whatever I can under here first. So we've got some clips, and then we've got some clips up top. So we've got these two bottom clips, one here and one down there, maybe tough to see. So which now wiggles this. So there's two more clamps up top. All right, so I'm inside the hatch here, the engine. So there's a clip right under here. See that one? And there's one right on the other side right here. All right, so we've got all those clamps off. So, oh, missed one back here behind. There we are. Ooh, that is brittle. Kind of scary. So we've got to take off this plate too, because we've got to get those as well. All right, so we're gonna have to get a little bit further in this. So I think the water pump is back here. So I think we're gonna have to remove this motor mount here. So I think there's another bolt or two to keep this one on. So we're gonna have to go up from the top to get that one figured out. And then we've got, I think, the water pump back here. So I think I'm gonna have to jack up the engine, and so I can release this motor mount to get into this cover here. All right, so I removed this bolt from here, from the motor mount, mounts to the frame itself. So that was a 17mm bolt, just the single one that comes out of there. And then it looks like I've got 3 other bolts to take out to take this mount off. So down below behind here, I do have a wood block pressed up against the oil pan so the engine won't sag too far and fall down. So that's what I use the jack for. So I'll go ahead and take these 3 bolts out. All right, so I took the motor mount off, and the bracket that was on there, it had 3 bolts. Actually 4 bolts. You can see 2. See 1, 2, and then there was 1 pretty far up there that was pretty difficult to get. As you can see, I've got the block under there. I had to lower the motor a little bit more to be able to get these. To get that top bolt up there, I couldn't get a ratchet in there, so I used a 14mm wrench here with a little flexible head. So here are the pieces I've taken off. Here's the motor mount itself. Here's the bracket. And then here's the bolt to the motor mount. So next we're going to take this off. I already took this screw off. I believe there's 1 more bolt back here, and then another bolt up here that I'll have to get from the top side. So I'll do that and I'll be back. Okay, so we've got this cover off and then this cover off. And so in order to get the timing belt cover off, we have to remove this pulley here. I'm going to get these 4 bolts here, take that off. Should be able to remove this belt. We're going to replace all of those. I don't know if you can see the dry rot on the I think this is for the air conditioning. Yeah. And then this is to the alternator. And then we've got the timing belt over here. So I'll go ahead and remove that and be right back. So I did remove both belts here and the nut that was in here. I actually had to use an air impact to get this bolt out. I think they used Loctite in there, and I tried all sorts of other things to get it out. I didn't own an impact, or I guess an air impact. So I bought one and it came right out. So I loosened this bolt right up there and allowed this to shift a little bit. I did do a little marking on it so I know where it ultimately sat. So next is to take off these covers. So when I took the top part off there, it has a little gasket that was getting stuck. So just put that back in there. All right, to get this piece off. So we're gonna have to move the dipstick. So there's a little bracket underneath that holds it up, and then 2 10mm bolts. So there's a little O-ring inside, so it shouldn't leak, but I'll put a rag under it just in case. Let's get those moved. Okay, so I'm actually gonna pump the engine back up because I think as it's dropping, it's leaning more towards this way. And so if I raise it up, it will create more of a gap. So we'll try the other way. All right, so we got this gasket off, or this brace off. So it goes this way on the engine. So here's the inside. Gasket looks pretty good still. So now we're at the timing belt. So what's pretty wild is how loose this timing belt is. So these timing belts are supposed to last for 100,000 kilometers, and we're about 120,000 kilometers for this one. So I mean, the fact that I could pull that off. So whenever I pulled the cover off, this little thing was right here. There is a bezel on it. I'll get this cleaned up. But there's a bezel, and the tough to see that. Maybe you can see it there. But more the rounded out edge goes against the belt so it doesn't fray it. So it'll go back on like this to hold the belt in. Because if you put it like this, backwards, you can feel it rubbing the belt itself. So that's nice and smooth there. All right, so I'm gonna clean off these wheels a little bit in the belt, because I'm about to put a paint marker on these to line these up so we can make sure that this stays in time. So we're gonna mark these teeth here and we're gonna line these back up when we put it back on so we know exactly where it's supposed to be at in time, even though, golly, that's so loose. Yeah, this little roller just spinning by itself. So I'm gonna mark it on the tooth itself here. And I'll do one up top. All right, I'm gonna let these paint marks dry here. I don't know if you can see that. There's another one kind of up there. So I'll let those paint marks dry so I don't accidentally rub them off. I'm gonna change my gloves too. So next, we're gonna have to remove these here, these rollers, which we'll replace. And then this is the water pump, and I'll replace this as well. So we're kind of removing everything in here and replacing it. So, all right, I'll be back. All right, now that the paint is dry, I've got my notches all marked out. So now we're gonna remove this timing belt. We're gonna remove these two pulleys here and get it pulled out. Just gonna put that back for the time being. All right, so I've got my marks here. You can see that one, and then this mark here. So I'm gonna count the teeth in between and mark it a couple times, and then I'll mark it on the new belt. So I'll do that and I'll be right back. All right, so I've got the old belt right here and then the new belt on top. I went through and counted the notchings on the old belt. So it was from mark to mark, it was 31. So I counted up 31 on the new belt. I counted it 3 times actually on the old one and the new one, just to make sure that everything matched up correctly. So these will match back up with those. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this first because we're gonna replace that as well. So there's a little bracket that this hangs onto, and then a little spring attaches to here. So I think there's 4 bolts to take off the little plastic piece there, 10mm bolts. I'm gonna wipe that down. Okay, so we've got the water pump here. It's got 4 bolts and a gasket underneath, and we'll get that replaced. So down at the bottom here, I've got a drain, like an oil drain box, because coolant will leak out of there. Okay, so it's not moving. Let's see what I'm missing. Ultimately, it doesn't look like I'm missing anything. I mean, it should be just 4 bolts on. Let's give it a couple taps. There we go. Couple more taps. All right. So we've got the old water pump. All right, let's go ahead and put this new one back on. Got the gasket in there. It's pretty. Oh, there goes the gasket. It's a pretty sticky gasket. All right, new water pump in. Now to put the timing belt back in. All right, so we got the new timing belt in. So we got the new water pump and new pulleys. So those are tightened down. You can see how my notches line up there and up there. So we are in time. A little spring is in there for this tensioner. I'm gonna crank it back and forth a couple times to make sure that these still line up. Everything looks good. And then I will start putting everything back together. So after the water pump, I replaced that. I put the cover back on, and then put the timing belt on. So now it's time to do everything in reverse. Now we put the covers back on and that full process. All right, so we're back a couple days later. So I do have everything wrapped up on the van. So the wheel is put back on. All the covers are put back on. I also changed the oil and bled the coolant lines too. If there's any interest on learning how to change the oil, which I feel is quite simple, or how to bleed the coolant lines, which is also I felt pretty simple, I'd be happy to do a video on kind of the overview of how to do that. So I do have the wheel back on, everything's put back together, and the van is back on the ground. So that's going to wrap up this video. So in this video I did the timing belt, the AC belt, the alternator belt, I also, the 2 pulleys. What else did I do? Oh, and I did the oil change and the I also did the water pump. That's why I had to bleed the coolant lines. So that's it. Hopefully there shouldn't be too much more. I think the engine stuff is done now. Time to move on to possibly suspension. Next video, I've got some fun stuff coming up, so stick around. Please like and subscribe. And also, if you do have any interest in learning how to bleed the coolant lines or how to change the oil, please comment down below. So I will see you guys in the next episode.